My older brother had one rule growing up. If he laughed, everyone else was supposed to laugh too. It didn't matter whether it was a prank, an insult, or someone getting hurt. If he called it a joke, our parents usually let it slide. I was the younger sibling, so I became the easiest target. He'd hide my school bag before exams, switch the sugar with salt, or scare me from behind whenever I carried something fragile. Every time I complained, Mom would sigh and say, "He's only teasing you because he loves you." I stopped arguing years ago. By the time we were adults, nothing had really changed. My brother still acted like the loud, funny guy everyone loved. At family gatherings, he was always the center of attention, telling stories and making people laugh. I smiled along even when I knew I might become the punchline before the evening was over. One Saturday, our parents hosted a barbecue in the garden. Cousins, neighbors, and friends filled the house. My brother was showing off a new grill while everyone stood around chatting. I was carrying a tray of drinks across the patio when he suddenly stepped behind me. Without warning, he shoved me hard between my shoulders. I lost my balance instantly. The tray flew into the air. Glasses scattered across the paving stones, and I crashed backwards onto the concrete. The back of my head hit first, followed by my shoulder. Everyone gasped. Then my brother burst into laughter. "Relax," he shouted. It was just a joke. A few people laughed nervously. Someone even clapped him on the shoulder. I tried to stand, but dizziness hit me immediately. My vision blurred for several seconds before everything came back into focus. My brother stretched out a hand. "Come on, don't be so dramatic." I ignored him and slowly walked inside. My neck hurt, my head pounded, and I felt strangely sick. Mom handed me an ice pack and told me to rest for a while. By the next morning, I still had a splitting headache. Bright lights bothered my eyes. I struggled to concentrate on simple conversations. A friend convinced me to visit the emergency department, expecting they would diagnose a mild concussion and send me home. Instead, the doctor became concerned after hearing about my symptoms. He ordered an MRI to rule out any hidden injuries. I wasn't worried. I thought they'd tell me to rest for a few days. An hour later, the neurologist entered the room carrying my scans. His expression wasn't what I expected. He explained that while the fall hadn't caused major bleeding or fractures, the MRI had revealed something completely unrelated. There was a small mass deep inside my brain. It appeared to be a tumor. The doctor said it looked slow-growing, meaning it had likely been there for years without obvious symptoms. The fall hadn't created it. It had simply led doctors to discover it much earlier than they otherwise would have. I sat there speechless. I had walked into hospital expecting painkillers. Instead, I was discussing brain surgery. The following weeks became a blur of appointments, specialists, and endless tests. Thankfully, the tumor appeared operable. The surgeon explained that because it had been discovered before causing serious damage, my chances of a full recovery were excellent. He also admitted something that stayed with me forever. If we hadn't scanned you now, it might not have been found until much later. After permanent symptoms developed, I couldn't stop thinking about that sentence. The shove that made everyone laugh may have accidentally saved my life. When my family learned about the diagnosis, the mood changed overnight. My brother arrived at the hospital carrying flowers. For the first time in my life, he looked genuinely frightened. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. "I never meant ... I interrupted him. "I know you didn't mean to find a tumor." He nodded silently. "But you did mean to push me." He couldn't deny it. The surgery lasted nearly 7 hours. When I finally woke in recovery, the surgeon smiled. They had removed the entire tumor. The pathology report later confirmed it was non-aggressive, and no further treatment beyond regular monitoring was expected. Everyone celebrated. My parents called it a miracle. Neighbors brought meals. Friends visited with cards. My brother visited almost every day. He apologized repeatedly. At first, I accepted his apologies politely but kept my distance. An apology doesn't erase years of behavior overnight. Several months later, after completing rehabilitation, I attended another family gathering. Everything felt strangely familiar. The same garden, the same barbecue, the same patio where I'd fallen. Only this time, something was different. One cousin playfully pretended to push another before anyone left. My brother stepped forward. Don't. The entire garden went quiet. It's not funny. People looked surprised. He continued. I spent years thinking embarrassing people was harmless. It wasn't. No one argued. That single sentence carried more weight than dozens of apologies. Later that evening, he sat beside me. I used humor to get attention. He admitted. I never realized I was hurting people because everyone kept laughing. I believed him, not because of his words, because his actions had changed. Over the following year, he became someone entirely different. He stopped mocking relatives, helped organize charity events, and even apologized to old school friends he'd bullied years earlier. Watching him change reminded me that people aren't trapped by their worst mistakes if they're willing to face them honestly. As for me, every follow-up skin came back clear. Each appointment felt like another chance at life. People sometimes ask whether I'm angry that my brother pushed me. The answer isn't simple. The shove was reckless. It could have ended far worse. No one should ever excuse dangerous behavior as just a joke. But that same reckless moment uncovered a silent illness before it stole my future. I don't see it as fate rewarding bad behavior. I see it as a reminder that life can change in a single second. And what we choose to do afterwards matters far more than what happened before. My brother's push didn't make him a hero. His decision to finally change did. And every year, when I receive another clear MRI result, I'm reminded that survival gave both of us something unexpected, a second chance. Mine was at life. His was at becoming the brother I had always hoped he could be.